Hello, welcome back to another one of my ramblings about movies, and this is a review of Thor: The Dark World. I saw it over the weekend, and I thought it was okay. I'm gonna do the review spoiler free, and then the second half of the review I will go into the spoilers. So I will give ample warning for those that haven't seen the movie so that they can stop watching and not hear any spoilers. But before I can talk about this Thor movie, I can let's talk about the first Thor movie. I enjoyed the first movie a lot. Um, Certainly, I was very worried about the result of that movie, but once it came out and I went to see it, I was very pleased with what I saw. The casting I felt was very well done. There was very little complaint at all, if any, as far as the casting of the first movie. And the Asgardian scenes and the battles with the Bifrost giants were just epic. Okay, I love it. I it exceeded my expectation as far as what I had in my mind, as far as what Asgard would appear or look like on the screen. And once the movie started and we see the grand scale of Asgard and all the cast, the costume, everything was so well done. I love it. I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed that movie. Um, the weakness of that movie is perhaps the scene on Earth. Not that I had a problem with Jane Foster or other Earthlings. I'm just didn't care for the battle scenes with the destroyer up until that point. Perhaps it was budgetary reason that the Earth scenes was in New Mexico, basically in the middle of nowhere in a little town. But to me, it was kind of kooky how you have this big giant battle on Earth and very little commotion on Earth. Okay, to me, it would have been. I wanted a little more realistic reaction of the army, the local police, even anything. For it to just happen. The destroyer came. There was a big battle. There was a few shield agent running around, and then boom, they back to Asgard. It just seems so limited, as if the budget of the movie didn't allow a larger scale battle on Earth. That's my, like I say, minor complaint about the first movie. But as far as storylines and everything else, I really enjoyed it. Um, Certainly, one of the surprise of the movie is Cat, the intern of Jane Foster. I thought her few scene was fantastic. I would say she stole the movie, but whenever she was on, the very few dialogue that she had was well done. It was well placed humor, witty humors that add a lot of fun to the movie. Okay, um, and I think Thor one is a perfect example of the formula that Marvel Studio has approached as far as making fun movie. You know, no doubt, Marvel gear the movie toward the broad range of audience, and you can't really have too much violent. You know, if you want to, get a PG-13 or appeal to the younger audience. So, in that sense, I understand why they do what they do. At the same time, the adult in me prefer the more serious aspect of other superheroes movies like The Dark Knight or Man of Steel. You know, for some people, they didn't like the seriousness of Man of Steel, the destruction, the death, all that stuff. So that's some of the criticism, common criticism that we have heard from people that did not like, Man of Steel or the Dark Knight trilogies. I like that serious aspect more than the fun aspect. But nonetheless, I enjoy seeing both kind of movies. Now let's talk about the sequel. So I saw it over the weekend, and I had to say that I like the first Thor movie slightly more than the second Thor movie because I felt the storyline of the first movie was better, if not much better than the second movie in many aspects. Um, Part of the problem with the, or part of the flaws of the second movie is the main villain, Malekith. That to me, there was just not enough in depth of his character. I prefer not to see villain that just being evil for the sake of being evil, and they really don't really have a good reason or for the lack of way to describe it, they just don't have a good reason to do what they do instead of just like Malekith for them. In the movie he just evil. He just want to bring the world into darkness. There was not very little reason behind what he wanted to do. Unlike other great villain in the movie. For me, I liked Khan as well as Zod. Khan in the Star Trek movie as well as Zod in Man of Steel because they were bad. They were the bad guy, but they had a conviction in what they were doing. They didn't just like I just want to destroy the world kind of thing. They felt in their mind what they were doing was for the good of what they believe in. They have a cause. That's for some people we can relate to, or at least for most people, you can relate to Khan doing what he's doing because he wanted to save his people, just as Zod wanted to do what he wanted to do because he wanted to save his race of people. It's not just I just want to destroy the world and bring everything into chaos. What's the benefit? So that is one of the weak point of the movie as far as Malekith is the main villain. But the storyline with Loki, fantastic. No doubt, I think Loki was the highlight of the movies, and the the other weakness of the movie is, unlike the first movie, Cat stole a lot of scenes and have a great line, many great lines. In this movie, I was more annoyed by her character because it was almost too forced. It's just they include her way too much with way too many lines of being funny all the time. You know, in the middle of chaos and death and destruction, it's almost silly to have someone like Kat running around making light-hearted comments all the time. Okay, it's overkill to a point of annoying, in my opinion. I still like her character, but it would have been better off to have some realism of how people should behave in certain near-death situation. Um, and lastly, um, like the first movie, I felt the scenes on Earth was some of the weak point of the movie. But overall, I enjoyed the movie. I give it, 2.5 star out of 4. I'm not likely to see it again. Um, Maybe on DVD or on Netflix later, but I don't see myself going out there and buy a Blu-ray DVD for this movie. It was just good enough for me to feel that I didn't waste my money and time seeing it, but that's it. Okay, so now that I have talked about the review spoiler free, I will go into spoilers filled part of the review. So if you haven't seen the movie, thank you for watching, and goodbye. I don't want you to go any further, okay? There's plenty of warning now. Okay, so now let's talk about the review of the movie with spoilers in it. Okay, as I mentioned already, I felt Malekith was a weak point of the movie. Um, like most science fiction, there's always lots of plot holes, and you kind of have to turn off your brain a little bit, otherwise you go crazy. But some of the plot holes are the dark elves are superior to Asgard. Really, if you look at the movie in the grand scales of technologies and battle, they have weapons that can shoot, I don't know, bullets, explosive, laser beam, whatever it is. They have weapons much more so than the Asgardians. So it was almost kind of silly to see, you know, uh, the Asgardian trying to fight the Dark Elves with sword and shields and spear. It's, to me, it's a mismatch, and it's I'm not sure I would have done it that way. On top of that, you in Asgard, right? You have technology like flying ships, big cannons that they use to shoot down the spaceship of the Dark Elves. But then all the Asgardian soldiers just running around with spear and sword and shields. It just, to me, it's like I said, a lot of the fight scenes between the Asgardians and the Dark Elves, I'm just like, enough already. I mean, I like action. I never complain about too much action most of the time, but when it's silly, let's just move on. Okay, I don't need to see a lot of those kind of action, but that's just my take. So that's one of the complaints I have. I felt that Loki is awesome. I mean, I can tell you that he was good in the first movie, but he was the highlight of this movie. Perhaps the few complaints I have, not with Loki acting or the character, I felt that the movie would have been better served if, when Frida died, Thor would have come right to Loki in the prison and broke the news that Frida has died in a battle, and it would have been a great emotional impact scenes if that was the case, instead of having a soldier, a guard came and tell Loki that Frida died, and then Thor came later and say, "I need your help now to go revenge on Mother's death." So I thought that was kind of a flaw of the movie where I would have done it differently. Because certainly both actors, as far as Chris Hemsworth and the actor that play Loki, are good enough to carry the big emotional scene if it was done the way I wanted, as far as Thor walking down the prison and break the bad news to Loki and see the breakdown of Loki. The other scenes I have even a bigger problem is the death scene of Frida. To me, I was very surprised. If when Frida died and Thor and Odin come rushing in at the end, I felt it was. I have a lot of problem with that scene where Thor just stand there while Odin is like crouching over Frida, holding her in pain because she's dead. To me, it's trust me. If anybody here, any normal human being would not behave the way Thor behaved, they would have rushed to their mother, collapsed over her mother in agony, instead of just standing there like, "Oh, my mother's dead." To me, the emotional impact of that scene was ruined because the way Thor just stand there watching his father agonizing over his mother's death. It's just not. It's just poorly written, in my opinion. Now, as far as the scenes on Earth, as I mentioned in the spoiler-free review, that's where my problem was. Unlike the first movie, we have the big Earth battle. This time in a big city, not in some little town in New Mexico where there's more sands than people. So you have this big battle on Earth, and that's all well and good. But like the first movie, really, when you have this big alien force landing on Earth, creating all this chaos, the big city of London was kind of just like, two jet planes from the British Air Force flew in to participate in the battle too, and the rest of London just like, no big deal. It just seemed odd and not working for me when you see, all this destruction going on, and literally there's like a dozen, 15 student in the library running to the window and see, ooh, what's going on. That's not working. Okay, for me, it's just like, heck, they better off having that battle scene again in some desert with nobody, instead of having the big battle scene where the rest of humankind was kind of left like, meh. So that is also again a flaw for me as far as the battle scenes on Earth. It's just like, yes, I understand. Um, Maybe that's not needed because the battle is between Thor and Malekith, but for me, it was bothersome to see that. But other than that, look at I don't want to repeat myself by saying how great Loki was, and I'm very happy to see that they did not kill him off. But otherwise, there is this. The only thing left for me to say is I wish they did a little bit more with Lady Sif as far as her feeling for Thor. There was just a hint of romantic tension or more than friend kind of feeling between Thor and Lady Sif. For whatever reason, they stop short of creating a love triangle between Lady Sif, Thor, and Jane Foster. So for that, it kind of falls short of my hope. I hope they would do more with that part of the story, because I really like the actress that play Lady Sif. She hasn't done a lot of movies. There's a lot of rumors that she could be the next Wonder Woman. If that is true down the road, I think that would be great, because I think she has that regal appearance, in her way of her looks. She has that look, in my opinion, much more than other actress that people has been pushing to be Wonder Woman, like Gina Carano or other people. There's something about Jamie Alexander's look, her face, that I think have that godly, regal appearance of Wonder Woman for me. So, and that's it. Hopefully you enjoy the movie, um, as much, if not more, than I did. Anyhow, thanks for watching. Until the next movie.